Hello everyone, welcome to my Jurrac Ryu-ge Combo video. This is here from popular demand on my last video. You guys seem to really enjoy the Jurrac Ryu-ge deck profile and wanted to know how you play it, and I'm here to do just that. I'm going to show off the basic 1-card combo and then a 2-card combo, and then I'm going to show off, more importantly, how you play this deck and how you use your interruptions to both give you follow-up and to maximize the amount of interaction you're actually setting up. So we are going to start with our 1-card Mistva Combo. We're going to scale the Mistva. We're going to use its effect to pop it in order to search our Ryu-ge War Zone. We're going to activate the War Zone to take a Dinosaur, Sea Serpent, and Worm. We're going to add the Stego, send the Emva, banish the Hakva. We're going to then use Warzone to summon 3 Ryu-ge monsters, which is going to be our Hakva from the banish, our Emva from the grave, and our Anva from the deck. Now, this is where things might deviate a bit. We're going to use Anva's effect to pop itself, which then triggers its effect to place a Ryu-ge realm from the deck. So we're going to place a Ryu-ge realm Wormwinds. We do this so that Hakva's effect to bottom deck Wormwinds and then search a Ryu-ge card is live. So we're going to do just that. We're going to use Hakva to bottom deck the Wormwinds in order to search our copy of Ryu-ge Rivalry. This card's important because it lets us summon our Ryu-ge Anva on our opponent's turn, and then pops an on-summon heal pop a card, so we can use that to pop a monster, trigger a Mistva on our opponent's turn, and then do all the things we want to do. And the best part is this is as a trap card, so it layers our end board a decent amount, which is great because this end board is super layered when you actually get down to it. We're going to set our Rivalry. We're then going to Ixies for our Varudras. And then Varudras is our Omni Negate, and then it can destroy a card in the field, and when it's destroyed, we can pop another card, which we are almost guaranteed going to be destroying this card at some point on our opponent's turn. So you can argue that's another interruption. We're then going to normal summon our Stego. Our Stego is going to pop itself in order to send our Kaiva from our deck to the grave, and that makes a level 10, so we can summon a level 9 Titano and a level 1 Megalo. We're then going to synchro using the Titano and the Megalo in order to make Jurrac Astero. Astero's effect on summon will set either Jurrac Volcano or Jurrac Impact. So I've been going back and forth on which of these I like more. In the deck profile, I use Jurrac Impact. However, I think Jurrac Volcano might be the better one in retrospect. I'll go over why you would play either one. So Jurrac Impact, the reason you would play this one is it gives you agency on when you want to use your board wipe. So this card can only be used if you control 25 or more attack dino, and it's just a normal trap. So unlike the Jurrac Volcano, which requires your opponent to use 4 monster effects in a turn in order to trigger your board wipe, this one can be used at any time as long as you control Astero. So you aren't reliant on your opponent to set up your board wipe, which is important because your board wipe is usually how you're going to be putting Astero in grave. It's either that or you're going to use the Mistva effect on your opponent's turn to pop the Astero. So that is the main pro of Jurrac Impact. The pros of Jurrac Volcano are that this can be used, this is a lot better if you draw it over Jurrac Impact, because Jurrac Impact requires you to already have done a combo that gets you a 2500 or higher attack dino. Volcano doesn't. You can just use this as long as your opponent has used 4 more monster effects. So if you draw this by itself, it's an interruption. Also, going second, if you use this, you can just activate this at the start of your turn, and if your opponent uses anything, if they use 4 monster effects on their turn, which most decks nowadays are going to be putting up 4 monster effects, you can nuke their board, which is just kind of cleans the whole thing up, which is really, really scary. Means this card is a must answer going second, which is much better than Jurrac Impact, which would be doing virtually nothing. The final thing is that Volcano gives you an extra interruption because it summons Meteor, unlike Impact, which just hard nukes the board. Volcano summons Meteor, which allows you to bring back Megalo, so that when you summon a second Meteor off of the Astero, it will pop the Megalo, letting you send a second Astero, which can summon a third Meteor. So in your turn 1 combo, you get to summon 3 Meteors on your opponent's turn, hypothetically, which is crazy. Gives you 3 board wipes, which is disgusting. So I'm going to be setting Jurrac Volcano. It does take the Warzone off of your board. That's the other bonus of setting Impact, is that you get to keep the Warzone. But if you're going to be nuking your board anyway, it probably doesn't matter. And the way you do this combo, you're going to be bouncing Mistva for your follow-up, so Warzone isn't super important. So we're going to set our Volcano and activate our Volcano. And then this is the board. We have Ryu-ge Rivalry. So this is an Omni Negate from Jurrac, a Special Summon Negate off the Astero, a Summon Pop and Anva from the deck with the Rivalry. That's then going to trigger Anva to pop a card. And through either the Jurrac pop or the Anva pop, we need to destroy a monster on the field. If it has to be our own monster, so be it. It is what it is. But we need to destroy a monster on the field so we can trigger our Mistva. And then Mistva can tribute the Anva to then summon itself, pop 2 of our cards. Ideally, it's going to be the Jurrac and the Astero. That's going to place 1 of our 3 Ryu-ge realms, or 2 of our 3 Ryu-ge realms. One of them has to be Sea Spires, so you can have follow-up on the next turn. The other 2 is just going to depend on whether or not, on what deck your opponent's playing and which interruption is going to be better into them. Usually this format, it's the Dino Domains, because decks like Malice do not care about Wyrmwinds. But there are decks like Orchest where you're going to need Wyrmwinds. It's just such an insane card against that deck. So you're going to place the Dino Domains and the Sea Spires. Then, at some point, probably right before you actually use your board wipe, you're going to go Sea Spires, bottom deck it to bounce your Mistva back to the hand. This is going to give you follow-up for the next turn, which is super important, since that's the main issue with the Jurrac cards. They give you 0 follow-up. So that fixes that. So then you also have your Monster Negate, and then you're going to go Volcano, nuke the board. Notably, if the Dino Domain stays on field because you weren't able to use the Monster Negate effect, you can bottom deck it with the Rivalry to get a draw for the next turn, so that's even more follow-up. We're then going to summon our Meteor, which is going to nuke the board with itself included. And then it will bring back our Jurrac Megalo. And our Megalo will be great for when we banish Astero and Titano from grave. Also, I forgot to banish these 2. To summon a second Meteor. Since then, the Meteor will destroy both of these. Make sure to not bring back the Megalo when you do this, otherwise it won't be counted as destroyed, so you won't get the trigger. And then you can send a second Astero from the deck to the grave, or from the extra deck to the grave, and then that will allow you to summon a third Meteor on your opponent's turn. So, I will now count up all of our interruptions. We have an Omni Negate from the Jurrac, Omni Negate and Destroy from the Jurrac, the Rivalry Anva Pop, the Volcano board wipe, the 2 realms we're going to place off of our Mistva, although if we want the follow-up, this only counts as 1 interruptions because we're going to use the Sea Spires to bounce our Mistva. The Special Summon Negate off of the Astero, and then the 2 board wipes you're going to get off of the Astero. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 interruptions with follow-up is the end board, which is terrifying. That's insane off of a 1-card combo. That's better than a lot of the meta decks right now off of a single card. Really, really good stuff. The next combo I want to show off is what happens if you already open Stego and you have Mistva as well. So if you open both halves of your engine. There are 2 options here. When you use Warzone, you could search Misk and then Misk can give you guaranteed immunity from pretty much any hand trap you'd have to deal with, which is nice. But you are going to be putting up a Verudrus before you summon the Stego, so, you know, it might not be super necessary. So it really is just up to personal preference. I prefer doing the line I'm about to show off, though. So we're going to go Scale Mistva. Mistva is going to search our war zone. We're going to activate our war zone. We're going to take our Emva, Hakva, and our... and then any dinosaur, so it's likely just going to be a second... Oh my god, I'm making a mess. It's likely going to be a second copy of Jurrac Stego, because we're going to banish the other dinosaur we get, send the Emva, and then add the Hakva. We're going to then use Hakva to get our Worm Winds. We're going to activate our Worm Winds. We're then going to Warzone Summon 3. We won't use Anva to pop itself this time because we already have Worm Winds, so we don't have to. So we can go Hakva, bottom deck the Worm Winds, and then search out our Rivalry. And then we can use our Anva and our Hakva to make Verudrus. And then from there, it's the exact same combo line as last time. We're going to normal the Stego, pop itself, send the Kaiba. That'll let us summon the Titano and the Megalo, which will then let us sync for our Astero. Oh my god, I'm Butterfingers today. Alright, so this is a little bit better of an end board. This is 8 interruptions. Because we have an extra Ryu-ge name on board. So when we go Rivalry to summon our Anva from the deck, we can use Anva to pop a monster that will trigger the Mistva, letting us tribute the Emva to summon itself. And then we can pop Anva and another card. Doesn't really matter what. Let's just say the Astero. To place our Ryu-ge Realms. Then that will trigger the Anva, which will let us place Ryu-ge Ruin from the deck. Sorry, I didn't put the Volcano on there. Here's why End is really important. One, it's an interruption, of course, that lets you pop a card, which is really nice. But also, this card's important because it does something when destroyed, which is when it's destroyed, you can set a Ryu-ge Rivalry from wherever, which is really, really nice. It means that you can reset this after your first board wipe. So if you only have to board wipe the field once, you'll have Rivalry on the crackback as more interruptions. So you can do something like Scale Mistva on your next turn, pop the Mistva, search whatever, probably another Warzone, and then you can go Rivalry, summon Anva, pop a card they control, and then that might trigger Mistva to let you summon the Mistva, pop some cards, do whatever you want. It just gives you a little more follow-up, which is really nice. The other thing I want to note is the amount of cards these combos play through. If you get Fua Lost in this combo, you can just end on the... Where is it? Ryu-ge Rivalry plus Verudrus off of your 1-card Mistva combo. So you'll still have an Omni Negate, Rivalry to summon Anva to pop a card, trigger Mistva, summon Mistva, pop your Warzone and your Verudrus to pop a card in the field and place 2. So you still have like 4 to 5 interruptions right there, even if you get Fua'd without having to normal the Stego and give them 2 more draws, which is nice. You could give them 2 more draws. It does like double your interruptions, which is crazy. But I also don't like giving my opponent 4 draws. So Infu is the best of the Mulch armies against you. You could do your full combo if you get hit with Perulia and you give them a single draw, which is super worth it. If you get hit with Meowls, you also only give them a single draw. So the only Moltres army that's actually rough for you is Fualos. And then there's cards like Droll, which, while rough, can be beat as long as you draw either Warzone, Fossil Dig, or Stego as your starter. So you can guaranteed at least do the Jurrac combo. I'm now going to show off the combo that I think is probably not very good, but I want to show it off so you guys understand what people are doing with these cards and what your options are. So this is going to be a one-card Stego combo, which you can do this out of your... Well, actually, no, yeah. You can do this out of your Mistva combo. So just consider this what you would do if you got this off Mistva, or if you didn't. It doesn't really matter how you do it. You're going to go normal Stego. Stego's going to pop himself. You're going to send a copy of Miscellaneous Saurus from your deck to the grave. And then you're going to summon 2 Jurrac Aeolos and 2 Jurrac Megalos. Immediately, I don't like this because this immediately plays into Nibiru. If you noticed, our Jurrac combo plays into... gives us only summons 4 times, which means we play completely under Nibiru if all we do is start with Stego, which is super nice. The other thing I don't like is you have to play all 4 of these cards, which sucks. Notice I'm only playing 1 Megalo, 1 Titano. Mind you, it's not like a ton more bricks, because you're going to want to play like 3 Megalo. So you're playing 3 Megalo, 2 Aeolo, and then like the 1 Misk. The problem is the reason you would do the combo like this requires you to play more cards that are not particularly good to draw without playing more bricks, and it just kind of snowballs into a total brick fest. But anyway, we're going to go Aeolo, tribute itself to bring back the Jurrac Stego. We're then going to sync the Stego and the Megalo off for a copy of Jurrac Velfito. The effects of this card do not matter. It's just here as a level 5 that you make to Synchro Climb. We're going to then use Aeolo to bring back our Stego. And then finally, we're going to sync our 3 monsters off into our Jurrac Astero. Now, the one thing I do like about this combo is it absolutely loads your grave up with the Jurrac cards, which is really nice. So you just get a whole lot more to use throughout your turns, especially since you set Misk, so you're going to be wanting to banish a bunch of guys for the Misk. Next, you can go even further beyond by banishing the Misk along with 3 of your other dinosaurs. So let's say Aeolo, Megalo, and another Aeolo. Oh no, wait. Sorry, yeah. And another Aeolo to summon a copy of Oviraptor out of the deck. Oviraptor on summon can search any dinosaur or send any dinosaur. So there are a few different things you can do with this. You could send Carbonetton, which can then summon Labradorite Dragon from your deck, which is a level 6 tuner. So you can use it and the Oviraptor to synchro into a second Astero. This gives you a second special summon negate, a second board wipe without having to use the Megalo, and lets you set Jurrac Impact from deck. The reason this mostly doesn't matter, and why that line specifically sucks, is that you're going to already be able to set up 3 Astero board wipes off of your 1-card combo without summoning a second Astero. And 2, setting an Impact doesn't actually matter, because you can't use Impact and Volcano in the same turn, because one will take out the other. So no matter what, one of them is gonna get destroyed before you can use the effect. So it doesn't actually do anything. So the other option is to grab your Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, which can banish your Stego and your Velfito to summon itself. Alternatively, you could also hold the UCT in hand and then pop the Oviraptor on your, not pop the Oviraptor. You just hold the UCT in hand as follow-up for the next turn. That is the other thing I like about this combo. It does let you have follow-up for the next turn, which is something the Stego combo normally doesn't do. That's the big flaw with it. It doesn't actually set up combo on its own. However, in order to do this, you have to play one Oviraptor, one Conductor Tyranno, you have to play 2 to 3 Megalo, and you have to play 2 Aolo. While, yes, you get to cut Kaiba, you get to cut Dino Domains, and you get to cut Titano, it really doesn't even out the amount of bad cards you have to play, so I don't think it necessarily warrants it. Personally, I think this combo is a lot weaker. Not weaker necessarily, but a lot brickier than the combo I've been doing. But I wanted to show it off so you guys understood what your options are when playing this deck. The other option you could do is that there is a combo, and I'm only going to briefly talk about it because I don't feel like going fully in depth with it, because I don't think it's worth a ton of merit, at least at the moment. I don't think it's worth a ton of merit, at least at the moment. You can go normal summon Oviraptor, send the Carbonetin, summon the Labradore as your normal summon, synchro for your Astero. Astero can set Volcano from deck. Volcano can pop the Astero to summon Stego. And then Stego can do your 1-card Jurrac combo without even needing to do anything else. This is nice because it just gives you 3 more starters. The problem is you have to then play 2 bricks in order to enable those 3 starters. So the math doesn't really work out. If there was like another Dinosaur Searcher, I mean, maybe it would be worth it, but as of now, it's really not good. So that was the combo video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you got everything you wanted out of it. If you guys have any more questions about the deck or any potential suggestions, please leave comments below. If you guys are enjoying the channel, like and subscribe. I will try and bring more Ryu-ge content, more Pendulum content, just content on decks I like. Which tends to usually be Pendulum decks. Anyhow, hope you guys have a lovely day, and goodbye.